On today's Big Gay Agenda, we are here at the ART NYC Theaters with a very special guest. It is none other than the legend themselves, Vico Ortiz. You might recognize them from our show, as this is not their first rodeo with Big Gay Energy. They have been on a previous episode to talk with us about Our Flag Means Death, which you may know them very well from, or some of their other iconic roles in American Horror Story, Transparent, or These Thems. What you might not know is they are an extraordinary drag king, a creative force who brings heart and humor to everything they do. Their new solo drag show, Rise of a King, is a cosmic coming-of-age journey that reclaims power, memory, and identity. Now, this show is part of the Fuerza Fest, which is the annual Latin LGBTQ plus arts festival here in New York City. The Fuerza Fest first originated in 2016 and celebrates queer voices through theater, performance, and community. Vico, thank you so much for coming on today. We're excited to have you.
Goodness, this is such a sweet intro. Thank you for that.
All right, so Rise of a King is your new special solo drag show. This is the world premiere of it at the Fuerza Fest. So where did this concept start?
Oh my gosh. Well, yes. This started because I had an agent who seen me do drag and really was like, you should do a solo show. You should do a solo show. And I was like, I don't write. I'm not a writer, an actor. Let's keep it chill. Like, you write the thing and I will read it and I will perform it. And she mentioned this about like 4 years ago. And we had some conversations with ideas and stuff, but I was like, I'm into it, but I'm scared. I don't know about writing. I feel like this is a different way of exploring art that I haven't yet truly like leaned into. And I read a lot, but I wouldn't consider myself a writer. And then last year, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me go ahead and write this. Let me go ahead and do it. And I had done a storytelling show a year and a half back at a show called Don't Tell My Mother with Nikki Levy. And it was a short story. It was like a 12-minute story about something that I hadn't told my parents, which I ended up telling them because I was like, well, if this is going to be out in public, they got to know. And then the year after, June of last year, I was like, let me start actually experimenting with what a solo show would look like with the concept of Don't Tell My Mother. But then instead of Don't Tell My Mother, it's more like my mother wouldn't want me to tell you, the audience. And I loved how Nikki helped me with the storytelling of the year before. And I was like, I think Nikki would be an amazing coach to kind of help me write this piece. And so last year I wrote what was supposed to be 12 minutes, ended up being 20. And then I kind of used that story to kind of propel and expand it into what is now this solo show that's an hour. And it went through various drafts. I started with one thing and then I went to a whole different direction. And then now we're in this that felt producible. And I finished writing it in December of last year, 2024. And I was planning on doing it in LA first, but then the fires in LA happened and I chose to stay in Puerto Rico a little bit longer. And because I wasn't sure when I was going to return to LA, I was like, fuck it. The world is literally on fire. This administration is also on fire. And this story is one that I feel can connect, has a lot of connective tissue with ourselves and people that we love and care about. And I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I want to do this regardless of what the fuck is happening with the industry. I want to do this for the community. I want to do this for myself, for my people, for my family, for my chosen family. And I began to hit up folks that I knew in PR because I thought, shit, if I'm already in Puerto Rico, I'll do it in Puerto Rico first. I'll do it in Spanish because I have it in Spanish as well. And then my friend who I have worked with in the past was like, wait, hold up. There's a festival happening in New York. Let's do it there. And I was like, oh, okay. And then here we are. It happened so quickly.
Wow. Well, obviously there is a whole creative team behind you that is helping you make this image come to life. So let's talk about the process of rehearsals and putting the show together. Like, what was like the beginning stages and then like the special moments of the rehearsal process?
My goodness, yes. So the first person that I reached out to was Maria Cristina Juste, who runs Boundless Theater in New York. And I had worked with her in a virtual / live theater show during lockdown. And with her as the producer, I also worked with Ismael Rodriguez, which was the director for that show. And I loved working with him. And I knew of him because also he has worked with my parents in other theater productions. And I loved working with him for that show, La Carta, which we did during lockdown. And so when I reached out to Maritina, I was like, I'm thinking Emmanuel would be an amazing director for this. And so she was like, I got you. And then we had a meeting at a different theater in Puerto Rico that was in the middle of a production for something else. And Maritina was there with Mario Colon, who is the one that runs Fuerza Fest. And he was like, yes, I definitely want your show for the festival. And then Emmanuel was in a couple of floors upstairs. So I just like took an elevator, went upstairs, and I was like, Emmanuel, my show is happening. Do you want to read it? Do you want to direct it? And he was like, let's fucking go. And so while all of this was happening, someone that I met at a convention last year in London, their name is Fire with a Y, had made these amazing puppets for Jim, for Izzy, for Wee John, for Lucius. And I love puppets. And then this person reached out to me and was like, hey, I would love to make you a puppet. And I was like outside of like our flag. And I was like, amazing. I actually have an idea for a puppet that maybe could work for my solo show. So I told them about Walter Mercado, who's this amazing, or was an amazing Puerto Rican astrologer and just gender bending icon. And so I was like, can you make this puppet? They did. Samantha Ray, who made me a cape a while ago. I was like, oh, this cape can be used for the show. Josue Matias, who is friends with Emmanuel, who actually designed the little frog for Bad Bunny's new album, has worked with Emmanuel many, many years ago. And Emmanuel was like, I want you to design this like little set piece that can be transported to various theaters, can be built and unbuilt without any tools. Of course, you had to use it with tools in the very beginning, but for me now, I can just build it and break it down and put it in 2 boxes and travel with it. And it all kind of came together with various people. And now with LA, I have Celebration Theater with Nikki Levy and Chris, who are helping me produce the Fringe Festival over there. So I'm like, I touched community and I was like, community, I need help. And they were like, let's fucking go. So I got people in New York, in Puerto Rico, and LA, all helping me out getting this all put together.
So after all of this hard work and the amazing team that you've gotten to work with, what do you think you're most proud of with this show? And if it is literally everything, let's talk about that.
Oh my gosh, what am I the most proud of? I don't know if necessarily it's like the word is proud, but the most gratifying experience of all of this is that I have gotten to rehearse all of this at my parents' house. So that has been a really touching, beautiful 180 moment of being, living in LA for so many years, over a decade, and then finishing writing this piece in December while in Puerto Rico and really getting the wheels running in Puerto Rico, rehearsing it in Puerto Rico, and my parents' terraza, and my mom seeing glimpses of the rehearsal process. And I also share with her the script in Spanish so she could understand the piece. But even then, she was like, there's so much physicality that just, it tells the story, even if you don't understand the language. And so, yeah, more than anything, the gratifying part of all of this is being able to have birthed this in Puerto Rico and be held with family while doing so. Yeah.
Wow, that's so sweet. All right, so going into the actual performance progress, without spoiling anything, was there any moment in the show you are most excited or nervous or both to share? And how does it feel to finally do it on stage?
I actually mentioned it on the show. It's in the very beginning, so no crazy spoilers, but I do a lot of burlesque, and I am very comfortable in getting naked in front of people. But that's physically naked. And then getting emotionally naked in front of folks is one that I'm like, leaning into most recently. And so, yeah, being nervous about sharing such an intimate story of my family, especially with my mom's relationship, is incredibly vulnerable. And so I'm the most excited about that because I do feel that we all have some sort of parental figure, that whether it's a bloodline parental figure or a chosen parental figure, we have this desire to have someone that we're like, oh, hi, you're like this figure to me. And sometimes we connect and sometimes we disconnect and sometimes there's distance and closeness and whatnot. And exploring all of that story through drag was exciting and nerve-wracking for me. And it's the reason why I'm so excited about sharing this show to as many places as I possibly can.
Wow. So, how would you say that performing drag has evolved for you over time, especially alongside your acting career as that has progressed?
A lot. And you see it in the show too. My first couple of performances, I was impersonating other people. And then I kind of began realizing that, oh, there's something here that's more just than impersonation. There's something here that I can use to play and explore who I am as a person and how I process things and how I through art explore parts of myself that I otherwise would have taken forever to like notice or perhaps never. And so yeah, my drag has evolved a lot. It's still very silly, it's still very goofy and whimsical. I love using magical realism to explore a lot of themes, but I love that yeah, it just ebbs and flows, and it's giving me such an openness to who I am as a human being. I mentioned this in the show too, just like how drag gave me the opportunity to witness all of the contradictory parts of myself that also somehow align. And then I was like, oh wait, but I'm doing this on stage. How about I do this also in my day-to-day life? How does it look like for me in my day-to-day life to embrace and celebrate all of these contradictory things about myself? And so yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, my drag has evolved a lot, it's shifted a lot, but it's still that theme of like whimsy and magical realism and silliness is very much there, very clown like. But even with that clown, I also touch a lot of subjects that explore heavier themes. I even did a show at a church last year that explored guilt, explored punishment, explored shame, explored liberation, explored kinkiness, explored control, explored release and acceptance, and all through, being a priest. So it's interesting to kind of be like, oh, there's silliness, but there's also like a lot of like things that hit really hard on a performance like that.
So, in a show like this, where you're both having fun but also being very vulnerable, how do you think you as a person have grown through this whole process?
Oh my gosh, every day, every day. I was telling you this earlier. I talk a lot about perfectionism as well on the show and the expectations of perfectionism. And there's so many elements in the show that for a moment I was like, oh, well, this cue and this cue and this cue. And I was like, how about I release all of that and just allow myself to be human in this process and have fun, show up to my fullest, most authentic self every day, whatever that looks like each day. And if something happens, like honor that and see where it goes and roll with it and explore what can happen from that. There's a saying that a teacher of mine shared with us in college a while ago that was an obstacle is an opportunity to make a different choice. And I was like, yeah, if something happens, just make a different choice. See where that takes us, and not punish ourselves for something different to show up, right? Still celebrate that figuring out process. So yeah, I'm learning every day. I'm discovering new things about myself every day. I'm having a lot of fun. It's been really sweet to have my parents here as well and see almost every performance. They didn't see last night's because they were like, well, every day is sold out. And if there's someone that can see the show that hasn't been able to, then, we can give it to these people. So other than that, though, it's been beautiful.
All right. So you've mentioned before that you've had a lot of inspiration from other drag kings, other drag queens for your drag performances. Are there any inspirations that you have had for this show specifically?
Oh my goodness. Inspirations for the show. Puppetry. It's the first time I do puppetry ever in my life. And I was like, oh God, I can't believe. Speaking about learning, I'm like, I love art. I love everything that I can get my hands, feet, soul, heart, everything on that is artistic in any kind of way. Like I want it. And I feel like now I'm just like, at the end of the day, am an artist. I don't care what medium, I don't care what the fuck I'm doing, but as long as I'm creating something, that's where I feel the most free and at ease and just all the love, all the love. The audience is the inspiration, honestly. Like each day has been so different. The energy is so different. And I live for that. I live for feeling inspired by how the audience is reacting and how they're enjoying the show, or feeling like I've struck a chord that like really hit them home. Like it's so interesting and beautiful to me to witness the audience laugh and cry and guide them in this journey, and that inspires me. And hearing them afterwards processing or things that they want to do now moving forward with themselves or a family member or a friend or a coworker, that's what inspires me every day.
So, with this show, at the end of the day, what kind of conversations do you hope audiences will have when they leave the theater tonight?
In this show, I share very vulnerably. Of course, it's an hour, right? So I can't go super in depth with a lot of stuff, but I do my best to kind of hit those like notes and those moments. But I share a lot of like what it's like to be a kid who is just like, but what happens if I do this way instead of this other way? And having a family who's also learning how to like let go of like, well, this is the way that we've been taught, so this is the way that's always been. Then like, oh, does it have to always be like this? It doesn't always have to be like this. What if we just let go and release that and allow for what happens. And so I want people to see this show and have those conversations with themselves and with their families and with their friends and their coworkers. Just like, what are some ways in which I've been like, well, I have to do this one way, and be like, wait, well, do I actually have to do it this one way? Can it be a different way? That's okay for it to be different. That's beautiful, amazing. And even with all the ins and outs of connectivity, lack of connection, still loving each other through distances, closeness, and how we can find each other again when we release all of these expectations and notions. Because even for myself, like, I also have expectations of my parents that I also have to be like, wait, I gotta release these expectations. And then like, where are they at? And then we can meet each other in these moments and then continue to expand our relationship because we've released these expectations.
Wow. All right. Well, Vico, I have just one more question for you. So, what do you wish more people, especially young queer artists, could understand about carving their own path in the arts? And how do you hope to spark that inspiration for some of them?
Art is a reflection of life, and life is a reflection of art. And so as you carve your own path through art, you're also doing that in your own life. And I know that there's a lot of blueprints out there, yet like everything, not every blueprint is going to be the same or it's going to work the same, because we're all very different people and we operate in very different ways. So more than anything, understand that while there's a lot of quote unquote rules that get you to A to Z, it doesn't need to be like that for you. And that's totally 100,000% okay. You can continue to carve your own path the way that feels true to you. Listen to your intuition, listen to yourself, what rings true to you, what moves you. Because a lot of people can be like, well, you did that and you did this and and this is the one way you're going to do that. And it's like, but then you're doing it for somebody else, you're not doing it for yourself. And when you're doing it, when it moves you, when it really strikes a chord for you, that's where the sauce is. When you're doing it because like, oh, this person is expecting this of me, or they told me I should have done this way, this should have, could have, would have, scratch that. You can throw that away. Do it the way that you want to do it, even if it's different, even if it's not the same as everybody else. And you can do that not just in the arts, but just do it with your life as well.
All right. I love that. All right. Well, Vico, obviously we are coming to the end here, but do you have any closing thoughts and final thoughts before you go on stage tonight?
Oh my gosh, have fun, y'all. Have fun. Breathe deep and have fun. I can't wait to share this story with as many people as I possibly can and just have these really beautiful, gorgeous, vulnerable conversations with everybody at the end. That's my favorite part.
Awesome. All right, well, Vico, it has been an absolute pleasure. Break a leg tonight. I'm so excited to see the show. It's going to be so fun. All right, well, folks, thank you all so much for joining us today. You know the drill. Hydrate for lesbian Jesus and get up all over the place, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.